Hello, and welcome back or welcome to the Tower Yoga Podcast. This episode, I'm excited to have another interview. This time it's with Kathryn Barile of the Brass Unicorn here in the Tower District. And I'm very, very excited to have this conversation in general, but especially because this week is a very special week for Kathryn and the Brass Unicorn. So, welcome, Kathryn. I want to give you some space to just say hello and whatever else you want to tell the listeners before we get going.
Thanks. The immediate first thing is the last name is Baril.
Bar-
I know a lot of people say it Barley or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah,
It
because
doesn't
it's the
matter.
I before the L. Yeah,
Yeah, Baril. Or if you wanted to do it the Italian way, it would be Barilli.
Barilli.
Yeah. But
Okay,
Baril is good.
cool.
So anyway, that's the first thing. And if I didn't do that, my daughter Tara, who everybody always calls Tara, would be like, "Yeah, mom, you didn't correct them," because
Yeah.
people always call her Tara.
Well, I appreciate when people correct me because, you always feel like a little stupid when it doesn't happen. Not to mention, I just have to say, I have been aware of you for a long time because I was going to the Brass Unicorn probably 14, 15 years old. I'm 37 now. And you've always just been Catherine, like
There you
iconic, like
go.
name.
Thank you.
Like Madonna,
Thank
but
you.
just Catherine.
Yeah, for Catherine.
But I'm glad to know how to pronounce it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm glad you mentioned that about how long you've been coming to the Brass Unicorn because that's one of the best things about for me about the store is when somebody comes in and they said, "Oh, I used to come here with my grandma and then my mom and now I'm bringing my kid." It's like this kind of long-standing generational kind of activity.
Yeah, my daughter or my human person, who's exploring who they are in the world. The person I gave birth to is 14 turning 15, and we were at a psychic fair that you had a couple weeks ago, and I was looking at them walking around and everything, and I was just like, "Whoa, I was their age when I first started coming here." And I mean, I got my first tarot deck at a brass unicorn, and it's just, yeah, it was a really cool portal to go into and a really tough time. And they're having their own interesting experience of being that age too, so it was like a really cool place to go and be like, my world isn't actually so small. There are things beyond what I feel restricted by, and I think they felt that way too. It was really cool.
Excellent. I'm so glad. I'm very glad. That's one
uh,
of the things that when I opened the store, I opened it for my own study and exploration. But when you open a business, it becomes very clear that you're going to be doing a lot less of what you were wanting to do and a lot more. I can see that look and a lot more of the minutia of the business, right?
yeah.
And so it's very nice to know that what you wanted to do is open, like have a space for people to explore and feel safe in that exploration of what it is how they relate to the universe and to other beings.
And yeah, I mean, I felt that at such a like visceral level. I mean, someone being 7 years in and not 45 years in, because that's the anniversary of
Yeah,
the brass unicorn. I think today is the actual birthday, right?
15th. Yeah.
Yeah,
What
cool.
is today the 15th?
I think
Yay.
so. Yeah. Yes, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, store.
And I work a lot. Oh yeah, because you're in the store. Yay, happy birthday, store. I work a lot on making sure that I'm managing whatever I need to about potential resentments and things like that that can come up, because same thing. I sort of didn't expect how much of that minutia you're talking about was going to really need most of my attention. And so it's been an interesting thing to grapple with. Like, how long did that take you? Was that pretty quickly you realized, or did you have to grapple with that at all?
And I'm still grappling with it. I'm here so many hours of the day, but at least one of the reasons that I decided to open the store initially because I knew that if I didn't immerse myself in that in some way, in mysticism and the mystery of existence, that it wasn't going to be that main portion of my life. So even trying to be in the present moment, trying to be aware of what I'm doing Even in the moments I'm aware of me not being in the most pleasant space, has kept me kind of, I don't know if I want to say centered because we're not all centered all the time,
Hmm.
but kept me focused on being what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I relate with that so much. Sometimes people are like, why'd you want to open up a yoga studio or even just become a yoga teacher? And it's like, that's what I wanted to do. And I knew in the same way, by the time I was 21, I was like fully sleeved. Probably doesn't matter as much now, but I was like, I want to like make sure that I'm all marked up so no one wants to hire me in the corporate world. I like very much was like, I need to, and so it is, it's actually, it's like first probably a pretty like self-serving reason. And I'll admit that. But then beyond that, like I am in so much service. And what does help me manage some of the stress of realizing I have to do a lot more of what I don't want to be doing sometimes in the day to day of the business. When someone comes and talks about how, like you were saying, that it means so much to them, that it's those sort of like emotional rewards do go a long way. But I really super resonate with it makes sense to me. I think that's, and I think it's a good reason, at the foundation too, because we do have to make sure that, we're in service to ourselves as well. Did you imagine that you would be still here with the business 45 years later?
I haven't thought about that.
Mm,
Just keeping it. No, I hadn't. That was the answer to the question. Was would I imagine it having been 45 years in the future? No, that's the answer to the question.
just right here. Who knows what's going So you ended up changing locations maybe like 5 years ago, or was it more?
It's almost been 10 years. It's like 9.5 years since we moved from over on Fern. And actually, the first location, I moved 5 years, and the first 4 years we were open.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay, was it always in
Yeah.
Tower?
Yes, it was always in Tower. I always want, well, more or less in the Tower. The first location was 565 North Fulton.
Mm,
And then we moved from Fulton to over on Belmont and Van Ness. And then we moved from Belmont and Van Ness to Olive and Adeline. I was on West and McKinley for like 3 months. And then we were on Fern for 30 years or
yeah.
30 plus years. And then this property became available for purchase. And I worked for like a year to get this building. The woman vacillated back and forth with selling it, but we finally were able to obtain it thanks to the perfect management of Tara.
Mhm.
Tara handles the money. So, yeah.
Okay, whoa. Wow. So, what was it like getting the space all the other buildings you were renting and then now you own this building, like how does that feel?
It feels great for the store to have a permanent place to be,
Yeah.
that it's secure because the place we were in behind the Dollar Tree was a month to month rental
Whoa. For 30 years?
for 30 years. And it was
Oh,
not a secure thing. I won't even go into any of that drama.
no need. Yeah,
But I,
no
I
need.
was so happy to get out from behind the Dollar Tree, first of all.
Yeah.
And so our view was always the back end of the Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
And then that I used to call it the Bermuda Triangle of Tower Market,
Mhm.
Dollar Tree, and Liquor King,
Mm,
because the spanging for change, the all of that weird activity was back there all the
mhm.
time.
Mhm.
And I was just happy to finally get out of that area so I didn't have to deal with restaurants and bars and
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of
a lot of
really dense,
litter.
intense interest, energy, and litter, and all that kind of stuff. You know what I do remember though, and I absolutely like loved is when there was a garden in the back.
Yes. I was thinking about this interview. I was thinking about all of my trials and tribulations through the years. I was thinking about how did you get to be, where you are and what you're doing. It's sheer stubbornness,
Ooh.
because there were so many things like the people next door to me over there didn't like me making incense to leave it out in front and dry. We used to leave our incense sticks out in front to dry,
Mhm.
and they complained to the city. And then there were like the garden, for instance. We did the garden, and it was such a joy to have that garden. And so many people enjoyed that garden. And then someone made a complaint, And then
Mhm.
the city came down and they just dosed the whole thing. There wasn't even any question. They just, yeah. And it was
Wow.
such a great thing. It had a labyrinth in that
Yeah.
garden. It was, people would come and they would paint. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it was like a regular little community thing. People would bring their kids to walk through the garden, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
And then, like so many things that when government gets involved, kind of
Yeah.
no more. Anyway,
Yeah. I know. I know.
trials and tribulations.
Yeah, the stubbornness piece, that's really good. You know, I just realized we're like 11 minutes in. I looked at the time at like 11:11 of how long we've been recording, and I was like, most people will know because they're tower people or at least Fresno area. But some people might be listening who aren't, and we should kind of talk about what the brass unicorn is, like what the shop has.
Sure. So I kind of conceptualize this as a space where people can come to explore their spirituality. And in many different traditions, the store is not necessarily super focused on one particular tradition. We have things about mystical traditions in all cultures. We have books on healing. We do have a lot of books, which is one of the things that sets us apart from perhaps other stores around, that we carry a lot of books. We have crystals, jewelry, um, let's see, what else do we do? Essential oils. We have about 350 different herbs, teas, and spices. We make our own incense stick and powder. People come into the store and they say, "What are you burning in here?" And we're like, "We haven't burnt anything today yet." That's the, but what we do burn in the store is our powdered incense. And recently we decided to make a house blend because it's only been 45 years.
Yeah.
And I guess we should do that. So what we did was we took all of our powders and we mixed them all together into one jar. And that's the house blend, because we burn everything that we have in the store gets burned at one time or another. And that combined scent is what people smell when they come into the store and they go, "I want this my house to smell like this." So
Yeah, you were mentioning that to me one of the last times I was in, and I have a friend who doesn't live here anymore and was like, "Bottle up that smell for me," because I was like telling them that I was going over there, and now I'm like, "Wait, I can like send that smell to you." Like, yeah,
yes,
and when
yes.
you were saying jewels and crystals and things like that, I was like flashing my fingers because I have, if people are watching the podcast, I
Oh yeah,
have
you have
some
your
cool
rings you
pieces
got
from,
the other
yeah.
day, yeah.
And then my husband went in there the other day and he had bought me a book and I was reading it before bed yesterday and it smells like your shop. I'm like,
Yes,
and
that's
another
true
thing I was
too.
thinking about when you were talking is when he and I got married, we had a public wedding and we had it at the gazebo gardens. And we just told a few people about it, but pretty much like put it out there to our community and to like whoever. And so there was no like invites, like no formal invites. It was just like literally anyone could come. And we had one of my friends, I ended up getting like a little cauldron and some incense from you, some loose powdered stuff for our ceremony. And so we have a tandem bicycle. So we rode up our bicycle to the altar, like got off the bike. And then she was there and, smudged us and the altar. And it was like really, really beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah. And so I have
Sweet.
that like in our home. And that's kind of what I have to. And I think I got also at your space. I got the broom at Brass Unicorn that we jumped over. We did a jumping the broom little ritual in
Nice.
our ceremony. So yeah, it's really cool. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we also offer classes here,
Mhm.
not consistently, but we're trying to do better, having more classes more consistently. It was kind of hard when COVID hit, that a lot of things went kind of out the door. A lot of people moved, a lot of people left their bodies.
Mhm.
And things that we used to have in the store all the time never came back. The children's quarter is something that I miss, having a children's area where they people can drop their kids in that corner, they stay there, they play, and then we're not hearing them like all the time, "Don't touch this, don't touch that, stay right here." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's
Yeah.
stressful for everybody in the store.
Yeah.
But that never came back. Tara was like, "No, we're not bringing back the kids corner." And I'm like, "But no, it's still a disease-ridden thing."
Yeah. The kids are little cesspools of.
Yeah. So
I know I was in there the other day. There was like
some
a kid like on the glass and I was like,
You and me both. You and me both. And then I'm the woman who's like, being huddling over the children who are, and I don't like that, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So, how did you stay speaking of the pandemic, gosh, that was rough. I mean, I don't even know how we're still here. I'm so happy. No, I do know. I actually do know, and I will acknowledge it here. There were 50 people who kept their memberships who could, and that is the only reason our doors are still open today. So for those 50 people, thank you so much. If you know. Thank you,
Right.
thank you, thank you, thank you. But that was really tough. And so especially someone who's more product based, did you just have to switch to like did people pick things up and order online or how did that work?
So when for the first 2 or 3 months of the pandemic, the city of Fresno, like, we were not considered an essential resource. Like, we weren't supposed to be open. Nobody was supposed to be here. We would come in and people would call in some orders, and then I would take them and meet people behind me in Ed's. I felt like I was dealing drugs. Here's your sage bundle. You know what I mean? It was just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Wow.
And then once people they could start coming in, like, we would let 12 people in at a time.
Hmm.
Everybody was masked up and gloved up, and all of those sanitizers everywhere. But
Hmm.
we had a long line. As soon as people could come back to the store, they did, and they
Yeah.
came back in droves. And we were really blessed through the rest of the pandemic
Hmm.
that people were so supportive, not just of the store, but recognized a need for themselves of other things that they wanted to explore and do, and be engaged with during that time of isolation. So
Yeah.
we actually did extremely well through the pandemic. It was very odd, but we
But
did
hey,
well.
bless. And
Right.
as
No, no,
well,
exactly.
because for some reason, I can't believe it's already been that long, like 10 years. Like, I was like, oh, probably like 5 years ago. Like, whoa. But yeah, to own your own business or your own building, that's a whole different ball game than, renting. And so to go through some of that, like during that time, I'm really glad it turned out that way for
Yes, me
you all.
too.
And
We
I
were
think,
able they had a couple of programs that you could get delayed mortgage things too. So we
mhm,
got that for a couple of months.
good.
Let's see. Right now is a little tough, I
Mhm.
must say. The tariff things is really tough
Yeah.
because a lot of things that we carry in the store, herbs, oils, incenses, a lot of those things don't grow in the United States. So even if you wanted to purchase them from people that were growing or doing things here, it's not possible because they don't grow here, right?
Yeah.
They're not manufactured here.
Yeah, and what I've appreciated about your space too, whether it be an article of clothing or an oil or something like that, is that it does feel very like global, and so that's been really cool. So that's unfortunate for sure.
We've been doing fair trade and that sort of thing for a long time. Like,
Yeah.
small we right now the we have the Polish hats back in the store.
Hmm.
They're handmade from different families there. It's a cottage industry, but I don't know if those are even going to be available at all next year in this country. The people had been bringing them in have decided to stop their business and
Yeah.
to retire. So it's one of those things, and we're doing our best to weather the storm, so to
Hmm.
speak.
Hmm.
Right? I
Yeah.
made it through Reagan.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, you've made it through. Whoa. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I was gonna say too, I think another thing with the pandemic is people kind of started, at least in that very first portion, people I feel like dug a little bit more into being curious, either deeper into their spirituality and some of their practices, or people who weren't really invested before started becoming a little more invested. And so when you were saying that, you ended up doing really well during that time. Like I was kind of like reflecting on that. Yeah, I really hope that you continue to be just as resilient as you always been, because I can only imagine how tough all of that's been at the moment. But I'm still really enjoying your space. And
Yay! And
yeah.
that makes it all worthwhile. When somebody comes in and tells us how much they enjoy the store, when we come in and we hear people go, "I love this store. I've always loved this store,"
Mhm.
then we feel good about our efforts.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, and
helps us to feel validated because a
mhm.
lot of times in retail you're not,
Yes.
and a lot of times in retail you're not validated or even seen.
Yeah,
Right?
it's
The
sort of
clerk
it's sort of
behind the counter isn't seen even, you
it's sort
know?
of thankless
Yeah.
a little
So it's
bit.
nice when it is thanked.
Yeah, and I think you do some other really cool things, like, I was mentioning you did that psychic fair, and then I missed it because I was busy this past weekend, but there was a puzzle exchange. There's just really cool things like that that I absolutely love.
We are having a pranic healing clinic. That's a healing modality that I do here, and
Mhm.
I've taught pranic healing for 20 years now. It's an energy modality, and we have a meditation night Thursday. So we do a lot of things here. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
In fact, we're going to share cake on the 20th,
Yes.
birthday cake on the 20th,
Yeah.
as well as a vendor event featuring local artists and other vendors that are in that room. We've been trying to do one of those every couple of months to help other local people who create things to prosper.
Yeah, that's great, and I think that that's perfect timing for, like, Yule gifts or if people celebrate Christmas and
Yes,
things like
exactly.
that, and
Exactly.
okay, so can you tell us what so it's on the 20th, day before the solstice, but it's like a solstice party slash birthday party for the
And
space
holiday market. Yep.
and holiday market. Cool. What
So
time?
come and have cake. It's going to be, well, noon till whenever the cake runs out.
Haha, I love it.
We'll probably serve cake around 1 or something.
Heck yeah. You're mentioning a little bit about how sometimes probably the people who aren't necessarily like the regulars and stuff like that, but maybe so, but how people don't necessarily like see who's behind the counter. Like, what else have you learned about people through running this kind of shop over the past 45 years?
Too much.
Okay, enough said. Enough said. Has your relationship to spirituality or intuition changed over time? I mean, you were saying 20 years ago you started the pranic healing. So have things just built and evolved, or have you shifted in big ways?
I think I have shifted in big ways. I fell into a bit of a slump, and then my friend Rudy came back into Fresno. He was having a particular issue, and he came back into Fresno. We started hanging out around each other again. And he travels back and forth in between he and Hollywood, where his husband is. And it was just really nice to come back into connection with someone was rooted in the same things that I was rooted in, and to kind of reconnect in a better way,
Yeah, man.
a deeper way.
It's so cool, some of the connections that we have I think everyone is like a mirror for each other, but I think that there's only a handful of accurate mirrors that we can trust. And so it's cool when you have a connection of friendship or partnership or anything where you can reflect back to each other like truth and you can remind each other of like who you really are. Like it's like, no, this is who you are. It's like a mirror.
Mirrors are
And
good.
yeah, mirrors are good for lots
Mirrors
of
are good.
reasons.
Yeah, mirrors reflect. Yes, people as mirrors is a good reflection.
So that it makes me think about when you were when you opened the Brass Unicorn, how long had you been into on this path? Obviously it was early enough to you being like, I see how important this is and I want to secure myself in like deepening. So you decided to also open that shop. Yeah. How did that come about? Your connection to the
Well,
spiritual path?
I spent a lot of time in the library as a child. Yeah, so
Mhm.
learned to read really early, and I was into yoga. I was doing yoga very young. I was studying the different god families when I was very young. I didn't have anyway, I won't go into what I didn't like.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I think we can all use our imagination.
Yeah, so I just wanted to find freedom of expression
Mm.
and look around at the natural world and see the beauty and the connection to the earth and its importance.
Hmm.
How people go around like talking heads. They don't connect their bodies to the earth a lot. And I think yoga is very important for that, reminding people to ground and to be expressive in the form, take care of that. So I was pretty young. Herbs were really important to me and are still really important to me. So that's why I have 350 different herbs in there. Anyway, yep, I was vegetarian very early in my life to the consternation of my parents.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
earth-based stuff. It's so interesting when you can look back into your early life to be like there was already signs of the trajectory that I'd be going. Like I think back and I remember being a little kid with my sister. We were really close in age, and there was the girl across the street who was our age too and always wanted to play and always wanted to play with like Barbies or things like that. And my sister and I were like making potions and like in the mud, and we're like, we're nature girls, like making a rock and being like, this is our house, you know? And she was always just like, didn't want to play with us because we were like these dirty feral kids. Also, my sister cut her ponytail off one time, so there's lots of reasons she didn't run away with us.
Have your hair now.
So we were totally, and we like buried it and like did this
No.
little ritual, didn't realize what we were doing, you know, but it's just like I look back and I'm like, there were signs. There were signs. So that's cool to kind of go back and kind of connect some of those dots. Thank you for sharing. Okay, well, is
Thank you for
there
this interview.
you're very welcome. Yeah. So as we finish up here, is there anything else you want to share or
I just want to say thank you to everyone who's ever been into the store and who's taken a little bit of it away from them and have enjoyed it.
yeah, yeah. And then please, I know that I'm definitely going to try to stop by and have some cake on the 20th. So please feel free to go on down and also support local artisans, creators, makers.
I want to tell you that it's La Lingerie cake too.
Ooh,
That may
that
change.
that definitely matters. I mean,
It definitely matters
it
to me.
definitely matters. Yeah, that's next
So
level.
supporting the local business.
Yes, good. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I
Thank
hope
you.
that
Thank you
you
very
have
much.
a beautiful birthday. I'm speaking to the space behind you as well.
Yes, yes. Thank you, store.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.